This was a game changer and helped me basically overnight. I am currently 3 months postpartum with my second baby, and this is everything I've learned and what I'm doing differently from my first postpartum and my second postpartum. My name is Megan. If you guys are new here, I post all things motherhood, pregnancy, faith, and lifestyle. So subscribe if you're not already. First, this was a game changer and helped me basically overnight. I got a hemorrhoid from giving birth, which my first pregnancy, I got a hemorrhoid maybe 10 days before I gave birth. And that was like the most painful part of my remaining pregnancy. And I even had to get like a pill or I don't know, some sort of thing to insert to help it. And it was so painful. And as soon as I gave birth, that went away. This time I had no hemorrhoid during pregnancy, but I got one from birth. And it was the most painful part of postpartum up until I started taking Sitz baths. I didn't really know what this was. I didn't understand, like I thought you had to buy something special and stick it in the water, but because it had some sort of special name. But all it really is just taking a warm bath and letting your body heal and soak in warm water. It is so hard to find time to take a bath when you are postpartum and your baby is nursing constantly, especially at nighttime, and they're like cluster feeding and up all night. And in my case, I have a toddler too. When I gave birth, she was 23 months old. You know, it's hard to even find time to take a shower when you're so postpartum. But after ChatGPTing, what do you do with a hemorrhoid? Is to take a Sitz bath. And I was like, okay, let's just try it. My husband put my toddler down for sleep. My newborn was sleeping, and once he came out and he could keep an eye in case there were any wake ups, that's when I would take my bath. So it'd be right when my daughter went to sleep, because she still does have wake ups. I took a bath. ChatGPT says take at least 15 minutes. And honestly, that's probably what I took, maybe like 30 minutes max. They weren't super long, but just soaking in the water for 15 to 30 minutes, my hemorrhoid went away within like 2 days. Like the pain was overnight. And not only does it help with hemorrhoids, but that also helps with vaginal recovery if you gave a vaginal birth. So I highly recommend it. I made it like a non-negotiable every single night during my first month of postpartum, because I took a month off of work. I took a Sitz bath or shower. I basically rotated. I did like a Sitz bath one night, shower the next, Sitz bath, shower, because I just find it a lot easier to clean yourself in a shower than I do a bath. But I still would like soak and try to get that area like warm and recovered in the shower too. But that was a game changer in healing. And just for clarity, I had a 1st-degree tear. However, my first birth, I did have a 3rd-degree tear with lots of stitching. So I do have that to compare to. And I wish that I took a bath and showered more consistently then, because then I felt like I had no time to shower. I was just constantly like, my baby needs me. And I'd get in the shower and be like, I hear Phantom crying. Like, I need to help them. But just take 15 minutes and it will help your recovery so much. Second is ice packs. So my first pregnancy, as I mentioned, I had a 3rd-degree tear. So things like the witch hazel pads and more of like medicinal, like medicated items. This time it was all about the ice packs. I needed those long parental ice packs in there, or it was just really painful that first week or so recovering. And when I really prioritized the ice packs, I think that just helped me recover so much quicker. Now, besides just the ice packs, I also used ibuprofen. I think the hospital prescribed me some sort of like extra strength ibuprofen that I used for maybe 10 days. I think I used it for about 10 days, but not every like 4 hours or whatever the recommended time is. I took it the scheduled times the first few days, but then I tried as quickly as I could to go longer and longer periods. And I think I wasn't taking it at all after 10 days, but that really does help. But you obviously don't want to be dependent on a medication. So that was something that helped me. That and ice packs and the baths really helped to have a pretty speedy recovery down there. Now for pads, I found that I chafed a lot this postpartum. I do not recall this the first time, but this time having those large pads just rubbing was so uncomfortable that it made me like not want to wear a pad, because like that was starting to become more painful than the actual recovery. And obviously you need to if you're still bleeding. And so I found that the brand Always was the most comfortable pad brand that I had. It just didn't chafe as much as others. It wasn't as rough on my skin. And so I started with the Always size 7. And then as my bleeding decreased, I think I bled for maybe a month. I went to the size 5 and I kind of like narrowed it down until I was in just panty liners and then eventually not having to wear anything. But that really helped my chafing. And if you need a large one and you're still uncomfortable, honestly, I would sometimes just like take it off and put on a panty liner for just like 1 hour if you can, if you're not going to bleed through it in like a 1 hour span, or maybe even just 20 minutes. Like if you can just get away with taking off the large one for a short time, or you could go in the bath or shower for this time just to recover that chafing, that helps so much. And I also would use Vaseline to try to help with it. I thought baby powder would help because that's something I've done not postpartum, but that actually did not help. It was Vaseline that really helped lubricate the area so that it wasn't rubbing so much on the pad. Another thing that was different this time that I don't recall the first time is extremely dry lips. I'd say about 2 weeks postpartum, my lips were drying out every like 10 minutes. And I am someone who wears chapstick all the time because my lips are already kind of dry, but like my lips, my hands, they were so dry. I was putting on lotion every like 5 minutes and chapstick every 5 minutes, but it did go by pretty quickly. I'd say it was only like that for 1 to 2 weeks. So if that's something you are experiencing, just have some lotion and chapstick on hand and it will pass pretty fast. Now, if you're able, sit and don't do anything for as long as you can. My husband only had 1 week off, and so he was completely on toddler duty during that week. I didn't really have to do anything for our toddler, and I just sat on the couch all day, every day, because your newborn's not doing anything. They're not playing yet. They don't really have long wake hours. They don't really have any wake hours that aren't used up nursing. They're just napping, nursing, and pooping and peeing. So I just sat there and I contact nap all week. I fed him, I changed his diapers, and then I just rested. And because I do have a 2-year-old, when he went back to work, I did not have the flexibility to rest like I did the first time. Because that first time, you can do whatever you want. And I do remember rushing, like, I want to get back into walking right away. I want to start exercising. Like, I was doing not actual workouts until the 6 weeks. However, I was doing a lot of like postpartum recovery yoga and stretches and exercises and just like trying to get back into normal rhythms as fast as possible. And with that one, it was a 3rd-degree tear, and that took me 3 months to recover. And I'm sure jumping back into exercise and just trying to go back to normal did not help that recovery. I probably could have recovered a little bit quicker if I hadn't done that. And this time, it's not that I was trying to get back into my normal routine. In fact, it took me probably 6 weeks or so to even establish any sort of routine having 2 kids. But you are constantly running around. You're carrying your child. You're running after them. You're taking care of a child. So having 1 week of just doing nothing before I had to go back into that was so helpful. And also just listening to my body and not rushing back into exercise. For example, I did want to start walking. I did not lose weight as quickly as I did the first time. I only lost about half of it that first week, whereas my first pregnancy, I lost all but 5 pounds the first week. And so I was eager to get outside and start walking. But when I would walk, I would notice my bleeding picking up, and I would have to remind myself, like, you have plenty of time to walk. You have plenty of time to lose the weight. Just really rest so that your bleeding can stop and you can go back to normal. And so when I did walk, I really started slow, like 1 little loop around the block, and then extending that, and then extending more and more and more, versus just like going right back into what I was walking before. And just listening to my body. If I bled, I'd be like, okay, let's take the rest of the week off. My body is clearly not ready for this, so let's just wait until that kind of settles, and then we'll try again. Now, a symptom that I did not expect, that I did not have the first time, was a blazing headache. I literally have one as we're speaking because it's like 1 p.m. and I just had my coffee an hour ago, and I've been up since 5:30. With your first child, if you're not working, which in my case, I didn't work my first 4 months postpartum with my first baby, even though you're up all night every 2 hours feeding, I could sleep in, I could not get up till 10, 11. I think I was getting up at like 11 a.m. because I wanted to try to get like as many 2-hour stretches as possible before waking up for the day. And then that baby cluster fed really late to like 11, 12 p.m. So I had to go to bed late. Plus I was up every 2 hours. So I would just sleep in till like 11 a.m. This time I have a 2-year-old. I'm not able to sleep in because I'm up when they're up, especially when my husband was back to work. She gets up about 7:30, 8 a.m. So I am grateful for that. She's not one of those 6 a.m. early risers, although I have been there with her when she was younger. Something I didn't realize is because I was running off of like 3 to 5 hours, not consecutive. I would maybe get a 2-hour chunk and a 3-hour chunk each night. I had just the worst headache. It was something that ibuprofen could not touch. It was something that coffee could not help. Like, I just was so sleep deprived that I've never had a migraine. It's not like it affected my vision or anything, but it was just a really, really like full head throbbing headache. And that's something that, you know, as you're able to go longer and longer periods at nighttime for feeding, does gradually go away. However, like I mentioned earlier, my toddler still wakes up in the night and I still have very choppy sleep. So between the two of them, it's just not a lot of sleep going on in this household right now. And of course, my husband, he does help with my toddler wake ups and things, but sometimes, you know, they just want mom or certain things are happening. I have to nurse. They're sick. We've gone through 2 illnesses. We had hands, foot, and mouth, which was the worst experience. That was probably my most testing moment as a parent, because I got it extremely bad. My baby was only 6 weeks old, so he was nursing around the clock trying to fight it off. And thank God he did not actually get any of the symptoms. He just was feeding every 45 minutes or so. So I was definitely not sleeping. My toddler had it really bad and it lasted about 10 days, and my husband got it. That was very, very challenging. And so the headache, my eye has been twitching for 3 months straight because of the sleep deprivation. My vision, I just said it didn't get affected from migraines, but things are blurry. It's hard for me to focus. It's hard for me to like think super clearly. There's definitely a lot of evidence of sleep deprivation. And now all I can say is praise God, because he gives me energy and rest every single day, even though physically I am not resting and having a lot of symptoms from that. I feel more energetic and have the energy to withstand so many tasks throughout the day and things going on and emotionally giving to others. That is better than when I get 10 hours of sleep consecutively. Lean on God. That is the only way you will get through a postpartum season with multiple children. And I imagine if you have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 kids, you really need to lean on God for that rest. And of course, lean on God through all things. I mean, that is the number one thing for postpartum and life. But I've never had to lean on him for rest and strength like I have being a mom, especially with a newborn and going through illness. Now with that, and probably majorly contributing to the headaches, is dehydration. I'm one of those people that always has my water bottle. You can see it back there. I always have my Stanley cup. I'm always drinking water. I always need it filled, but you just don't have time to always like drink your water, even feed yourself. Like, not only did I not have my coffee till about an hour ago, I just had breakfast about an hour ago. And my toddler's not even here right now. She's with my mom. But just because of what my newborn was needing, and my daughter, she has her 2-year-old molars coming in, so she was having a really hard time this morning. And then my newborn seems like he's getting ill again, so he was nursing a lot. So I didn't have breakfast and coffee till like 11:30 a.m. With that, I'm not always able to fill up my water. We live in a 2-story townhome and our sink's downstairs. So if I'm up here nursing for a long time, or I'm working, or I just get caught up in things, and then I'm like, wow, I really need water. And I've been more dehydrated than I've ever been in my whole life, probably. I have never been this dehydrated, and I really have to make an effort to drink the water, because finding time to do like the little things by yourself, especially when I'm solo, I stay home with both of them. We don't have any childcare or daycare or anything, so it's hard to find that time. But it is very important to be like, look, like my son, after my mom picked up my daughter and I came in the house and I was gonna attempt to make breakfast, and he really wanted to nurse. He literally was opening up my bra to get in there, but I was like, I need to fill up my water while I'm holding you before we go upstairs, because I just really need to have that water. I don't want to be stuck upstairs for however long without having any water for the day. So just trying to persevere and be like, look, I know you're crying, but give me 30 seconds to fill up my water, and then I can help you, so that you're also still taking care of yourself. I touched a little on this earlier with the weight loss, but that's something that's very different this postpartum than it was last time. Last time I literally lost all but 5 pounds, and then it just wasn't something I was really paying attention to until about 6 months postpartum, and that's when I kind of used diet and exercise to lose the remaining weight, and then I actually ended up losing 10 additional pounds from that. This time I gained 37 pounds, lost about 18 pounds maybe that first week, and then had like another 18 pounds or whatever the math is on that to go. And in the last 3 months, I've only lost an additional 8 pounds. So I have 13 pounds left to go until I hit my starting weight, but it's taken a lot more effort of me trying to be cautious with my diet. I do need to get back into exercise, but that is one of those things that's just been really challenging. I live in Florida and it's really hot right now, so my daughter does not want to get outside. And even when I try to wake up first thing and go outside, she's a slow morning person, so she doesn't want to go outside first thing in the morning. And typically my baby's nursing because he is sleeping through the night now, thankfully, but he needs to nurse and there's just a lot going on in the morning. And so before, my main form of exercise was I would go on like 3 walks a day and I would run 3 to 4 miles twice a week, I think. And then I would also do a couple of strength workouts throughout the week. But now I'm not really walking. I'm not really running. I've gone on 2 runs in the last 3 months. And I did do my first strength workout yesterday since giving birth. And I think that's going to be the easiest thing for me to do, especially if I do it while my daughter's napping, because they can play and I can work out right there, just put up like a YouTube video versus trying to drag them out into a double stroller in 95-degree heat in Florida until the fall. And then I'll probably try to get back into walking and running. But because of that, I'm just trying to be a lot more intentional with my nutrition. And of course, like, I don't have time to be making super lengthy meals and spending a lot of time in the kitchen because I have the 2 children at home. So I'm just trying to focus on quick, easy, but healthy and nutritious meals. And that's helped me lose 8 pounds in 3 months, but it's coming off really slowly. And that's something I did not expect since it was a lot easier last time. But I'm thinking once I have more time to kind of focus on that and exercise, it'll come off. It just probably will take a lot longer. Okay, and lastly, I did have an epidural. Barely. If you watched my birth video, it came in at the 11th hour, but I did have that, and I actually had more spine pain postpartum from that than last time. Last time I remember maybe like 2 days of like, oh, my spine's kind of sore. This time it was like 2 weeks of spine pain, which I really did not expect, but just going on a foam roller, stretching my back, focusing on, and even like neck exercises. I feel like there's so much back pain postpartum from holding a baby, nursing. You're just carrying a lot and recovering. So just focusing on my foam roller. There's this postpartum workout lady that I really like. I'm blanking on her name, but if I remember, I'll put it up on the screen. She has this really good posture workout on a foam roller, and that's my go-to. I always do that when my back is sore, and so that helped me with that epidural pain, and just doing some light stretching and exercises to strengthen my back helped as well. Okay, so that is everything I experienced this postpartum versus last time. If you want a more extensive video on what postpartum's like, what to expect, I did film a video last postpartum about everything I experienced, and so go check out that one if you want more of a descriptor of postpartum and what to do. But this one is more of everything that was different from my first time and what I did differently to try to improve my postpartum experience. If you guys like this video, give it a thumbs up, leave a comment, and hit that subscribe button. If you have any recommendations on other motherhood videos or anything else you want to know about or see from me, definitely let me know in the comments, and I'll see you guys in the next one.